$115 million, 2033 to 2044. Justin Turner's $6 million ends this year. It was 2024 to 2026. Hernandez, $8.5 million, 2030 to 39. And then Erdman, $25 million, 2035 to 2044. Crazy deferred amount of money. Just crazy. The Yanks have a couple of crazy contracts. I would believe that. I didn't do research on them. There's one of
Not a lot of it is deferred, though. What is up, Yinzer? Good to see you, brother.
The other thing I wanted to bring to your attention, because I had not seen this before, and I could not believe. Have you guys heard of what Max Muncy's contract is like?
No.
I don't think I have.
So you got to listen to this. This is an incentive based, okay? Max Muncy has surpassed 400 plate appearances with the Dodgers this season. It unlocks one of the most unique incentive clauses in baseball contract history. So, for every plate appearance now, from 401 to 550, he gets an extra $15,000 for each plate appearance. He gets $20,000 added to his 2027 salary for plate appearances 401 to 500. He gets
I want to address this. Yinzer, we talk a little bit of everything. We don't just talk baseball.
Right.
We're going to get into NFL too.
Yeah, we're going to get into NFL. We're just talking baseball to start.
But for Germany to be here, there has to be an NFL, at least 10% of the conversation. That's per Germany's contract. There has to be a Detroit mention. There has to be NFL mention, and then something post the 60s for Germany to be part of this podcast. So listen on. We're going to hit Germany's bucket list. We're going to hit there. It's only the first 2 minutes of the show.
Okay, so back to Muncy's contract. He gets $35,000 added to his 2027 salary for every plate appearance 501 to 550. So if Muncy hits all 150 plate appearance incentives, he'll collect $2.25 million in 2026 bonuses and will add $3.75 million to his 2027 salary, which is currently already at $7 million. Have you ever heard of incentives like that?
No.
And I think to circle back on the point of deferred money, there are a lot of mainly Dodgers fans or people who follow baseball saying, well, if the Dodgers can do it, all these other owners are billionaires. Why can't they do it? Well, when your owner is being investigated by the feds for alleged improper use of billions in loans, that argument kind of goes to the woods, that argument kind of goes by the wayside, because now you're allegedly shuffling money around illegally to help benefit your team. So no, other teams don't have the luxury of doing that. And I think deferred money is bad. Well, because I don't want to say it's bad, because look, NFL teams use deferred money in their contracts. They call them void years. When a player gets extended, they have void years. They're usually towards the back end of the deal.
There's a little bit different.
Yeah. Like the Philadelphia Eagles front office, they're notorious for doing that when they extend their players. But I think it's got to be to a certain extent. Like, this is just an extreme, pretty much. So if you want to do deferred money, have a cap. Like, you can't defer more than 50 million per team. No team can defer more than maybe 50 million. I'm just throwing that number out as an example.
Yeah, but if you look at it, the way the NFL does it, and that's even the Eagles, Lions, the Falcons have done it with Drake London and Behan's new contract too.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the difference is you're talking about maybe 10 to 20% of their salary. You're not talking Billions. 680 million of Shohei's money doesn't even show up until 2034 and gets paid through what, 2043, I think it was, over a 10-year span.
I think it was a 10-year deal.
Yep.
But I think the void money goes to 2043. That's why I was saying there's got to be a limit. Like, it can't be more than 10% of the player's deal, or it can't be more than a certain percentage, 10 or 20% of your entire payroll. Or if they implement a salary cap, it's got to be related to the salary cap.
It's got to be related to the player's salary that's capped, is what I'm saying. 10 to 20% of a player's salary, period. So there will never be another $700 million man in baseball, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Well, I think with the dispute that's going to happen next fall, or starting December, when the new CBA, and they got to negotiate, and they're not gonna. I think that's part of what they're fighting for too, is to stop that deferred money. Now, I just want to add, because I don't want to just pick on the Dodgers. So do you guys realize that after 2019, when the Nats won, both Rendon and Strasburg signed 7-year, $245 million deals with the Nats after they won 2019. They both expire this year. In the end, they will have combined to have missed 1,799 games out of a possible 2,064 games. So $490 million only playing in 12% of the games. Those are bad contracts.
Mm-hmm.
Bad money. So I didn't want to just pick on the
Is it a bad money, or is it a strong PA? Like, is it a strong union? Is it strong? Like if it was other agency, you're going on the. Well, I think each ball club has the variation. You go on the IL, you go on RL, you get deactivated. There's variations of it, You hear stories of keeping a player on, or the league minimum, or people doing what they got to do to go on, but it's a crapshoot, like I always think that like all that money for a quarterback out of college is probably like the worst money to be put on a player. Like the quarterback just can't take in those different snaps, go for a different offensive coordinator, different play scheme, go into a rivalry crowd, go into this and that, like spend all that money on a quarterback to think that it's going to be a quick turnaround. It's crazy. It's insane.
To your point though, Fernando, I would say that MLB's Players Association is the strongest of all the players associations among all the big sports. MLB
guaranteed.
Well, from the way these negotiations are going, that's how it seems, because neither side is budging, and it doesn't seem like it's going to get resolved anytime soon.
No.
Not at all. Like I think it's very refreshing when you hear certain coaches will take that tight end off so you wouldn't get his catch. You take someone off the field and get his last tackle. Monty's about to get it on. He's just about to get these plays, his at bats. He plays a really good position that he's going to get all those at bats. He's earning his top of the order to get those at bats. But I think it's a greater freedom where an agent could say, "What do you want?" And a player like, what? Let's load it up. Let's definitely load it up. Let's take a chance. Let's not have a cookie cutter contract. Let's see what we can do. Let's put all these incentives in, because he know if the LA is deferring all this money, then at least it'll make money now. And here I can make money now. And I think I can make money right now with these attributes. Because I want to get paid now, not in 15 years. Like I need the money now. I need my 20K times 10 different things I'm going to do throughout the season to get my $2 million. Like I don't want my $2 million over the course of 10 years. Like I'm trying to get paid now. And I think that was a really good compromise. Mm-hmm. There's ways to get it.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
But for UD, when he took that pay cut, he got the money to go to the Easter Conference. He got the extra money to go to the finals, so the money will come in other forms. is just not on a contract sometimes. And I think if the league offers those different opportunities to keep on getting extra incentives, the further you go in the season, I think opportunities there.
I agree. I have a question for you guys because I know I sent this to you guys. What's wrong with Cal Raleigh? What's wrong with him this year?
Oh,
The big dump.
I think,
He had that month where he was injured, and I think that reduced his hits a lot, and it also took a lot of his power away. If I remember right, it was a oblique injury, and he may have came back a little too early, and I think that's affected his late season numbers a lot, like it did Miguel Cabrera the first year that he came back too early with the Tigers with the
Yeah.
same injury.
I mean, different injury, but I remember when after the first ACL tear, Ronald Acuna came back because he tore it in July. He came back in late April, early May. And there are a lot of people that think, okay, maybe he was rushed back. And when you were watching him that year, this was 2022, the power wasn't there in that front step in his leg. So I do think injuries like obliques, legs, those have an impact, but I don't think I've ever seen this drastic of a drop off from probably the greatest hitting season a catcher has ever put together to it's like to significantly below average.
So to give everybody like a viewpoint of this, Aaron Judge hasn't played a game for the Yankees since May 31st. We are now August 20th. For the whole season, Aaron Judge played in 59 games. He has 53 hits, 17 home runs. Cal has played in 92 games, has 1 less hit, 52 hits, and 4 less home runs, 13 home runs. To make matters worse, 1 year ago, Cal hit 60 home runs and was the best catcher in baseball. Today, he's chasing a record nobody ever wants. And what record is that? He is hitting abysmal 158 this season and on pace for over 500 plate appearances. The lowest single season batting average in MLB modern history belongs to Chris Davis, who hit 168 in 2018 with 502 plate appearances. Adam Dunn back in 2011 hit 159, but he only had 400 at bats. Cal is on pace to have the worst batting average in modern history in the baseball. So he goes from being the best catcher in baseball last year to the worst batting average this year. And I understand maybe came back too soon and that you would lose power. You don't lose your swing.
Yeah. Yeah, this
How
is
many years he's been in?
He's been, let's see, Cal, how many years? Cal.
5 years, I believe.
I think so, somewhere around that.
Is there like any WBC fatigue?
No, I doubt it.
He debuted in 2021 on July 11th.
5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So they were one of those ones that forego that extra year of control to bring them up early. And I think it was due to an injury to their then catcher at that time is the reason why they had to call him up rather than try to get one from the trade deadline.
He was the 90th pick in 2018.
Right. So that was the third year of his career going on to his fourth. And they brought him up a year early. They could have had another year of team control if they waited for the late September call-ups.
Mm-hmm.
But they decided to do it mid-season, and it was due to an injury.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, in that year that he came up, 2021, is that one of the last years of King Felix?
I think he was gone by then.
Was he gone by then?
Because
I know
remember,
Felix Hernandez was amazing for Seattle, but the rest of the team was Other
For
than
a while, it
Ichiro.
was just him and Ichiro. I remember that.
Yep.
But
Could the contract be a situation in his head?
no.
No, because on March 25th of 2025, he agreed to a 6-year, $105 million contract extension with a 7th-year vesting player option worth $20 million.
Mhm.
I wonder who was making before that. You know, like just
Mhm.
a lot of these players do get into themselves. You know, there's a lot of imposter syndrome, a lot of things to stick up to. You know, taking the whole team on your back and taking it over, and all these large amount of checks coming around. Like it's definitely that, you know, you live up to it, you do it, you break these records, you're a platinum gold glove, a platinum catcher, win all these awards, you get the contract,
See,
and sometimes it could get to your head. Not in this case, but in general, these are certain things that could be a part of a situation.
see,
And
the
then I
problem
think-
is all professional contracts, you're paid for what you did in the past with your next contract. They don't take into the fact that age, degradation of skills, and everything else can come into play. And then when that happens, guess what? It looks like a bad contract.
Well, I think what also happens oftentimes, not only in baseball but also in sports, is a guy comes out of nowhere and has a really good year. Teams adjust, pitchers adjust. It's like, okay, you know, what did this guy do? Now, okay, maybe I'll throw him this pitch more often. I'll throw him that pitch more often. We can't hit this, or he has certain numbers against this or that. You know, they're going to adjust accordingly. And the guys that adjust back are the ones that have that sustained success. And I'm not saying Cal Raleigh hasn't adjusted, but it's clear that the league has. Like, I remember back in 2023, Bryce Elder was an all-star for the Braves, and he was arguably our second best starting pitcher that first half of 2023. And then suddenly the league adjusted, and he was struggling towards the second half of that year, and then struggled for a couple years after, because teams, you know, they're not going to fall for 91, 92, 93 mile an hour fastballs. And so that's kind of what happened there. And he is having a decent year this year, because he is.
But is he not willing to go to first or third or DH? Like, is he still trying to be is not want to be a role player?
He's not a role player. He's the battery. He's a catcher. That's all he's ever been.
Yeah. But like, maybe as you mentioned, you said DH, but you can't put him at DH if he's not hitting. You can't have a guy hitting below 200 as your DH.
Right. The other thing we have to take into consideration, 23, he had that great season. 24, 25 was when they were considering the pitch clock, and last year they implemented it. Now that the pitch clock is implemented and pitchers are doing lower pitch counts than ever, I don't think we're ever going to see another complete game shutout by a pitcher, because they're pulling pitchers after 100 pitches, which is approximately right around the third time through the lineup, which means the first time they made it through the lineup, not the third time they see them. So when that happens, they get used to one pitcher style. They have to face another pitcher, which upsets hitting even more, because the speed might not be the same. It might be a little less. It might be a little more. There might be more break. There might be more drop. And so they're adjusting to another pitcher all over again. There's more adjustments to be made by hitting than there is by pitching these days, because pitchers don't stay in as long. And with the pitch clock, we talked about it last week, and on my show, you notice that guys are sweating like they pitched 7 innings in the third inning now. They look gassed because they're pitching faster and faster and faster. It's 20 seconds if no one's on base, and 15 seconds if no one's on base, and 20 seconds if there is someone on base. I think after the third inning, if the starting pitcher is able to go faster, they should add 5 to 10 seconds for each situation. That little extra beat might give pitchers the rest to be able to go further.
So when I say DH, I mean like to give his legs some rest. Like he's not a decision maker on the field. He just only comes up to bat and just thinks about batting, and that's pretty much it, you know. So that was like the direction I was thinking about, just DHing.
Yeah, but if he's hitting 153, you can't put him at DH.
You know what I'm saying? But you could rest his legs. You know, when you're squatting that much and calling the games, calling different pitchers, you know, calling XYZ, like that is the position that to hit, you need your legs. And if he's always squatting that position, like I'm not saying like it's an excuse, but it's worth bringing up that like if
but how do you
on reshuffling the order? Sometimes you got to go from first to fourth or fourth to ninth. You got to reshuffle the order sometimes, and if not, you got to bench him. You know, like Kodai Senga, I was waiting for him to be cut off. Mr. Forkball himself should have been cut off 2 years ago. 0-7, like come on! And all of a sudden he's like, "Let's go, let's do it, let's come out from the bullpen." And all of a sudden he's a 1-inner. 10 pitches the most, and all of a sudden it's like whatever. You have to be that player that wants to like see what else you can do for your team. But if you're gonna stink it up at 1-something below the Mendoza line, like it's a two-way street. You know, like what else can you do? You're gonna be a veteran on the dugout, or are you gonna do something? But like you just can't keep on sucking or drop him down. There was a time where the Mets dropped Alvarez down because he was being too cocky. He was going back to back in these games, and they sat him down because his attitude was horrible. So sometimes you gotta be adjusted, or you have to adjust yourself.
Yeah,
But
the Braves are doing.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the Braves are doing that with Austin Riley, $218 million contract, the largest in franchise history. Oftentimes, he's now hitting 7th, 8th in the lineup, and it was different because obviously he's doesn't have the same issue Francisco Alvarez had, but he was just struggling for a while. He was chased a lot of pitches that were way outside of the zone, took a lot of pitches inside the zone. So they moved him down in the lineup. And since the All-Star break, he's hitting somewhere around 280, 290. Drove in both runs today for the Braves, which I'll get into later, but he is starting to hit a little better now. Now, it didn't help that he had a surgery on his wrist a couple years ago and then was injured again with the back injury last year. But yeah, as you mentioned, guys moved down in the lineup, and I was doing some research before we got on. And one thing I see oftentimes, what can make a difference between a good season at the plate and a bad season at the plate is a high chase rate. His chase rate is pretty close to where it was last year. So it's not like he's swinging at bad pitches or chasing pitches outside of the zone.
My question to the panel is, and Fernando, to your point, when do you bench him? Do you give him a longer leash than you would just about any other position player because of how important a catcher is to your pitcher?
I believe so. Like there was a few years where Syndergaard had his own catcher, DeGrom had his own catcher, so it's like it's who's running. I'm saying who's running the show, but like certain things just has to mesh well, and certain things has to make sense. But then I look up like who's catching today? Oh, who's pitching today? It kind of goes that flow. But ultimately, like for that leash, how long is Juan Soto going to be out? Like, how long are we gonna rush Judge, or are we gonna let Judge let us know when he's ready to go? Like Judge's been out since May, as you mentioned earlier, and put the graphic up. So like, do you give Judge that long leash, and we're gonna wait for him because he is this player, or are you gonna say like, hey, we're still in second. We still got a couple more spots to go. So it's like, I think it depends on the player. It depends on the ego. Depends of a lot of stuff's going on. But I do think certain players deserve that leash, and certain times, you got to earn it.
Well, in the regular season, yes, but postseason, you've seen a lot of high-profile.
What's the chatter? I'm sorry, cut you off. What's the chatter with Acuna? Like, what's the internal chatter with Acuna when it's like not 50-50 he's going to get hurt, but like, what's been the like? Is he still held up at a high caliber because of the World Series, because of who he is, or you guys just kind of like sour that he's kind of hurt now?
I think if you were to ask an overwhelming majority of Braves fans, they still hold Ronald up at a high caliber because
and they'll turn a cheek on the absence.
Yeah, because when he comes back, it's like, okay, look, he's not going to be his 2023 self or what he was in the past. I don't know if he'll ever be that at this point in his career because he's got 2 surgically repaired knees at this point. But like, he's not going to go out. He's not going to be active on the base path. He's not going to go out and steal 70 bases again like he did in 2023. I don't think it was going to happen again regardless. But yeah, he's still held at a very high standard. At his peak, he's easily the best player on the team. He's one of the top 5 players in baseball at his peak. So yeah,
I personally think Juan Soto doesn't have a shot going back in the outfield. There's no way. We got our 3 rookies out there diving, jumping, robbing home runs, throwing out multiple assists. Soto's going to be a DH or a first baseman.
Who else?
Soto is not running. He's not sprinting. You know what I'm trying to say? He's not diving. He is $500 million. He's not going for a sprint angle.
Didn't Soto play third base at one time? That would be the place where I'd put him because he knows the hot corner. I wouldn't put him at first because it'd be like putting him there as a statue. You hardly have to move at first base. Whereas, because the majority of your pull hitters hit down the left field line.
Yeah. Like even at Soto is like, Benz, everybody else, they're earning their spots. They're earning their IBs. They're earning everything, going back to back, throwing people out at home. Like, come on. Like, that's you gotta earn that spot back.
Well, I mean, he's 28 now, so it's not going to get any better as he gets older.
But I do think at certain positions it should get easier. It's like, could it be someone who held the longest in center field and they get kind of just moved over to the right, but they can't go to the left because they don't have the arm anymore? They're not going to go to like a Chuck Knobloch who just can't throw to first. But there are some people who could hold the position for a very long time. Bryce Harper is going back and forth, and he is the man. He's like, oh, okay, cool. You guys want to go back to outfield? I'll take the outfield. But I think he understands his role as well, too. He understands the end goal as well, too. He wants to win a second ring. So if Harper can take and be pushed around, I think that's leadership. I think that's a value asset to have. If Harper could do it, then I could do it as well, too. I think that's a really great thing to showcase around, in my opinion.
Okay.
What's the next one?
Are we done with baseball?
Why not?
Why not? I know our favorite sport.
Oh, we got a lot more than that to talk about if we really want to. But yeah, I love NFL.
NFL's
so,
cool.
For the 4th straight year, the Raiders have a different head coach quarterback combination. So, 2023, they had Josh Daniels and Jimmy Garoppolo. 2024, Antonio Pierce and Gardner Minshew. 2025, Pete Carroll, Geno Smith. And now 2026, Clint Kubiak and either Cousins or Mendoza.
And technically, you could say 5 straight years because the year before they had Derek Carr and Chucky before he was expelled from.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's crazy too to think about. 5 straight combinations between coaches and quarterbacks when for 3 years straight it was Chucky and Derek Carr.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know Kubiak was highly regarded this head coaching cycle with, what he did in Seattle. He had a history in New Orleans and San Francisco before that. But we'll see if Mendoza can, finally provide that, long stability under center for the Raiders that's been missing 4 years. Because outside of Derek Carr, they had, Rich Gannon, who won MVP, went to a Super Bowl in the 2000s, and then who was their last franchise quarterback?
Derek Carr.
I mean, before that.
Before that, probably what? Rich Gannon?
Yeah, Rich Gannon.
With Chucky the first time?
Yeah, the Rich Gannon, and then they've and their record, when you go through quarterbacks like that, you're not going to win a lot of games. And their record the last 25 years since that Super Bowl when they lost to the Bucs speaks for itself.
So 7, I think the real story, Ken, is 7 offensive coordinators in the last X amount of years. Regardless of who the coach is, I think 7 offensive coordinator is a missing piece in this conversation. And I think, again, football is not my toughest subject, but I think one of the biggest things is that when DeMarcus Russell was their biggest ticket that they wanted to bet on after that bust, I think it just couldn't find anybody else after that. Like, it's just like they were pushing for that pick, and it just went down from there. But yeah, 7 offensive coordinators, and after DeMarcus Russell, I don't think they had a franchise quarterback.
No. And then, look, it's game 1. It was obviously going to be growing pains for rookie quarterback, but Fernando Mendoza, 8 for 15 tonight, 86 passing yards, didn't throw a touchdown, and then threw an 80-yard pick 6. But he made some decent throws. As I mentioned, anytime you make your
first pick 6 a tip, or was it like pick 6 into somebody's hand?
It was a horrible decision into a defender.
It was a bad ball.
It was right to a defender. It had nothing to do with the tip.
But yeah, I mean, look.
Except for maybe the tip of the football,
you have
in the
a rookie
defender's
quarterback hand. Come in, take his first NFL action, even in preseason. There's going to be growing pains there. Didn't help that the offensive line was horrible. I know in a sack that Caden McDonald had, that he just ran right through the center. Like, it was barely even contested.
And that's the difference between having Tyler Linderbaum play a preseason game and having the backup play the preseason game. And then in the regular season, it's going to be Tyler Linderbaum. We all know that. He doesn't need to take a snap in the preseason.
And I think ultimately it could do him well that Kirk will start, the first part of the season, maybe the first half. That way he can sit and kind of get the chance to develop, get his feet under him, instead of having him thrown out there, even if he's a number 1 pick, which happens often than not.
I think you should sit the entire first year. If you've got Cousins there, let him absorb, let him watch. Because one thing you can say about Cousins is he's consistent.
Yeah, I guess you can say that.
Well, it wasn't him that was bad on the Falcons.
Yeah, I mean, anyway, it was a collective effort. But anyways, yeah, I think it would benefit him to sit for a year and learn, just kind of, as you mentioned, soak everything in, and then take the reins in year 2.
Mm-hmm.
But as a offensive coordinator, how do you adjust the whole play scheme based off the front line, your receivers, your quarterback?
Your coordinator is supposed to work with his assistant coaches and coordinate the offense around the skilled positions you have and the O-line you have. That's what's supposed to happen. So maybe the offensive coordinators and the head coach didn't pick the right assistants. Who knows? That Raiders O-line has been a sieve since Derek Carr left and Chucky was gone.
What was that?
Terrible when he was there too.
What was that coach that's doing no contact that we had a little chatter about? Was it for Pittsburgh?
Yeah, it was Mike.
Oh, yeah. Mike McCarthy.
So it's like, are the Raiders staff under the gun because they have to make this money back at the stadium? They're under the gun because they haven't done much. Like, is the offensive coordinator, is the coach making rush decision because they have to compete because they got the first round pick, they got the Heisman, compared to like.
The difference is the reason why the offensive coordinator changes every year is the same reason why the head coach has changed every year. Lack of results.
But when you have I think the biggest thing that happened in the last 24 hours when you have like Steve Coleman saying we messed up. We over traded ourselves. We took too much of a risk trading at the trade deadline. When you don't have like Al Davis behind it and doing everything on the ground, and the Raiders, how like is there a measurement where you can wait 2 seasons, or we always have 17 games to win and that's it? If you can't win the first 11, like you're out. Like is that proof enough or no?
What they're looking for is improvement, any improvement. They don't care if it's 1 win. They want to see improvement from the previous season. If the offense isn't improving, which is what is needed the most work, they're going to move on. That's what it boils down to.
But what's the definition of improvement, you think? Like for the offensive coordinator and for the head coach and for the GM, what
they can't be in the bottom 5 of scoring per game.
Yeah. And then also it depends on the organization and where they are. So they were what? They were 3-14 last year. Improvement would be
5 wins.
Going 7-10.
5 wins would be an improvement.
No,
what are you talking
5
about?
Wins?
That's better than 3.
If you got 3, I think a 7 is like a really good, more than double. I think to go from 3 to 5, that's like prepping for 3 years. I think there's some conservative and there's some aggressiveness, but to go 2 extra
what
wins,
they gutted and what they had to add this season to put a team together, they kind of are in the middle of a rebuild, and it's a new coach again. So he's got to rebuild it to what he wants. And that is supposed to be a 3-year plan for any NFL team.
There's no way. I'm not saying there's no way, but I find it very difficult to know that everybody is going to keep the dog in them for an extra 2 games. You know, like I think the morale makes a big difference. I think the energy makes a big difference. You know, like there's a lot involved that we don't see on both sides and everything.
I said the key point, and it had nothing to do with wins. It had to do with scoring. They can't be in the bottom 5 of scoring again, because that's not giving a weak defense a chance to defend.
And then I think another thing you have to consider, and this is in regard to the amount of turnover they had. So look at the coaches they've hired. So Josh McDaniels, that was their big ticket hire. He was awful. He is a great offensive coordinator, awful head coach. So he was out after like a year and a half. And then you kind of had 2 bridge coaches, I would say, like Antonio Pierce. He did a decent job as an interim. They promoted him. He was a bridge coach. He was out after a year. Then they had 74-year-old Pete Carroll, who
with Geno Smith.
Yeah, with Geno Smith. So then he was out after a year.
I think he's just hiring a name, hoping there is some rekindleness of some greatness because he is who he is.
Yeah, for me, the Pete Carroll hire at this juncture didn't make sense, but it feels like Clint Kubiak will be their next big ticket hire, and hopefully for him it works out a lot better than Josh McDaniels did. But Alberto, to your point, you mentioned patience. I think since those previous 2 were bridge coaches, they were never in the long-term plans or vision of that franchise, which I'm assuming, Clint Kubiak is going to have 2 or 3 years to build this thing up.
I think their biggest mistake was when Chucky left mid-season because of that suspension, and Rich Bisaccia with Derek Carr led them to the playoffs, and they won a game in the beginning and then lost in the next round. I think their biggest mistake was not keeping him because the players rallied around him.
Absolutely.
They decided to go Josh McDaniels because he was the next big offensive guru like Chucky.
And it didn't work. Hasn't worked.
Should we blame
it didn't work for the Broncos.
Nope.
Should we blame the strength coordinator who's a female? Like, is that a problem? Like having a female coach?
No,
if female coaches was a problem, they wouldn't have that new rule that Roger Goodell's talking about that includes women in all ethnicities, and that the Rooney Rule is going to be expanded for every head coach and assistant coach. They have to try to interview at least 2. So that means whether it's men or women or anybody of any ethnicity.
I saw that.
So today the definition of minority includes all ethnic groups as well as women of any race.
Mm-hmm.
Diversity makes football great, always has, always will is one. So basically what's required is that they have to interview 2. It also says staffing, all teams must employ at least 1 minority coach on their offensive coaching staff. Teams must interview for quarterback coach and senior executives. Team must interview at least 1 minority candidate for head coach, GM, and coordinators. Teams must interview at least 2 external minority candidates.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I found that interesting. Not really, more so the offensive coaching staff, because and this is kind of what I've seen when you think of like D'Amico Ryans, Robert Saleh, Dirty, Todd Bowles, Dirty in Seattle, their defensive coordinator. Feel like I'm missing somebody. I'm like, point is, guys like that, you think of primarily defensive guys. You don't think of them as mainly, and then you think of the top offensive guys. It's a stark difference. Now there is one upcoming head coaching candidate, Nate Schillhouse, with the Los Angeles Rams. I think there's a sizable chance he gets a head coaching job next year. But outside of that, you kind of do see a difference there.
Do we think, now remember, and I know we can't really talk about this, well, we can talk about it, but wasn't there a coach that was calling out the Rooney Rule, that it really isn't working because they're not really giving them a true interview? It's just to, say
Check
they
box.
did use, check the box that they actually did.
Wasn't that Jim
Brian
Caldwell
Flores
and Brian Flores that said that? Both of them?
Yeah.
I believe so, yes.
And everybody's like, for me, I was never happy with Jim Caldwell in Detroit. Yes, we made the playoffs 2 out of 4 years with him. Yes, he had a winning record. But that deer in headlights look that he had when things went bad and the play clock management was awful.
Mm-hmm.
And you know exactly what I'm talking about, Candy. Mm-hmm. He literally, when things started to go south, he looked like he didn't know what to do. Mouth gaping, eyes wide as saucers, looking like a little kid that just lost his balloon at a happy birthday party.
Do some of these coaches have enough reps in them? I mean, this offense coordinator, like before they become coaches, do they have enough reps at their coaching level to get that big promotion? How much, like, these experiences to go in the fourth quarter, to go behind in the second half, do they have enough reps, or are they being rushed to the head coach, rushed to this? Because if you go from like linebacker coordinator, or in charge of the cornerbacks, all of a sudden your defensive coordinator, is that enough reps in you to go from a position coach to like the coach of the sideline? Like, are some of these coaches being rushed because the front office is behind and they got to make a change?
I think it's a little of both. I think some of these interim coaches that have done good jobs when they're coming in and taking over, they don't get promoted fast enough. Go back to 2018, the 17-18 season after Caldwell left, and then we hired Matt Patricia, a guy that never had any experience, when there was an ESPN analyst that wrote an article, W.G. Brady, and said the Lions made a huge mistake going with Bob Quinn's Yes Boy when they could have went with the former interim head coach that took over in Miami, that was the passing game coordinator under Sean Payton and Dan Campbell, and then wrote this big glowing review on how he'd have been a perfect fit as a Lion. Fast forward to 2021.
Years later anyway.
And then fast forward to 2021, when they hired Dan Campbell, W.G. Brady wrote the exact same article as a smear campaign on why he shouldn't have been hired as a head coach. The exact same points he used as positives turned them all into negatives. And that's when I lost respect for that guy.
Because I remember at that time, there was a big push to hire Robert Saleh, who was from Michigan.
Right. And here's the part that nobody knew, because it wasn't publicly announced that Matt Stafford asked Sheila and the people that were looking for the new GM and coach that he wanted to be traded out. It wasn't made public yet. Robert Saleh did his 2 interviews, and they all but signed the contract that day when he went back to San Francisco. He was interviewed on the 11 o'clock news locally. His wife is seen buying a blue, white, and silver cake at a bakery saying, "Congratulations." And he goes on the interview and he goes, "I will walk barefoot from San Francisco to Detroit if I am hired to coach Matt Stafford." He did not say the Lions. He specifically said, "I will walk barefoot from San Francisco to go to Detroit to coach Matt Stafford."
Oh,
The
because
next
they didn't know he had asked out.
2 days later, Dan Campbell's hired.
Well, so Samir, you brought up, was Pete Carroll the West Coast native that LA, the Raiders knew? Was it an easy sell to give him a West Coast coach compared to East Coast coach?
Well, I think that's a possibility, because they made a full court press for Ben Johnson as well, but he ended up choosing the Bears. So I guess it was kind of one of those where not many other candidates wanted the job, and they kind of had to settle for Pete Carroll.
And then after LeBron leaves, you hear that Lakers got sold out again. So do you think like LeBron knew, like, hey, I don't want to be part of this ownership, I don't want to be part of this mess, like I want to dip out? Like, could that be a situation that no one's bringing up? Like all of a sudden, like, why did he leave LA? Because
why did he leave LA? Because everybody was running him out of town because they weren't winning championships since the bubble.
No, I'm just thinking to like organization, like the coaches, the new ownership, like a new direction, because LeBron likes to run his LeBron show, So it's like, could he have enough knowledge to know, like, hey, this is our next 3-year gap. We're going to do this. Do you want part of this new ownership? He's like, nah, I'm out.
Well, there are also reports that he didn't feel as if the organization was on the same page. So that played a role in why he left.
It's LeBron ring chasing. That's all it is.
And back to Fernando's point about playing and then coaching, I just would like to inform you there are 15 female coaches across multiple franchises. Some are linebackers coach, some quality control, special teams, offensive
strength and conditioning.
So to your point, no, you don't have to have played, because obviously women don't play in the NFL.
There is a professional women's football league, so they could be former players from that league as well.
They could,
but I would say on the other side, to go with Candy, but a little far left, I do think that women may not have played physically there, but I think when you become a player, you're only playing that position. You only said that, but as a viewer, you have enough snaps of watching, asking, researching, having role models around you, whatnot. So I do think you have more game time. You've seen it from a bird's eye view compared to seeing it from a defensive point of view or a running back's point of view, very like parallel. But to have someone who comes from an outside point of view, I think it is refreshing. They might have more snaps to compare to someone who's only started at high school compared to someone who followed from their childhood and watching. Like, how many games have you watched, Mr. Jeremy?
Oh, that I personally watched?
Yes.
Out of the 276 games last year, I watched 220 of them.
Do you think you watch more film than Johnny Manziel? You know what I'm trying to say? Like, come on.
Yes. Johnny Manziel doesn't watch film.
That's my point.
He snorts blowing by his hookers.
That's what I'm saying. Yes, I do think that it's great that people do get opportunity. Unfortunately, to get rushed because there's office situation, they have to make a decision, and you have someone fresh and you want to do something new. But like sometimes your snaps are in the playroom. Coach Spo, he started off as an assistant cutting tape, so you know how to make the decision. I think it was one of the big things they talked about, like for the when the Knicks in 5, that guy knew what needed to do. And when you have like the rookie coach for the Spurs, he didn't have enough to run the 2-minute drill. He didn't have the experience to do in the playoff, So like some coaches can survive in these high pressure situations, and unfortunately, the unexperienced do show up. Unfortunately,
I still think they should have promoted Becky Ham and then let her be the main coach at San Antonio.
Gotcha.
Yep, Eddie Prather, you're exactly right. You know what's funny is on the Lions coaching staff, all but 2 of all the assistants and lower assistants have actually played football. All but 2. You'll know this name. Tashard Choice is our running back coach.
I haven't heard that name in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Better than Rashad Mendenhall. Oof.
Okay, guys, should we go to our series that we've been doing? We have been running a series where we are going through the different positions in the NFL. I heard you. And we pick from the NFL, we do the top 5 of a certain position.
And then the top 3 for our team.
And top 3 for our team. We have done, we did running backs. We've done
wide receivers. We've done tight ends.
We've done safeties and
corners. Did we do off-ball linebackers, just middle linebackers yet?
I think all linebackers. It was just linebackers.
Oh, it's just linebackers? Okay. What we haven't done is edge room and defensive tackle yet. I do know that.
And we haven't done quarterback.
We did quarterbacks first.
Tight ends.
I think we've talked about it and danced about it, but I don't think we ever actually.
Our first one was running back. I think our first
was running back, and we touched wide receivers, and then I wasn't here for corners. I know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we decided last week we were gonna switch because we had done defense the last 2 weeks. We were doing offense, so we decided to do centers.
Go ahead, Candy. Let it rip.
Why do you keep pointing towards me?
Because he's a Brady Bunch viewer.
I think that the host should start.
You think the host should start, huh?
Yeah. Why not? We usually do anyone but the host first, and then I got to call you out last. So I want to hear your list first.
Okay. Well, if we're going to do top 5, it's kind of hard because I do have some honorable mention too, but I think I think Jim Otto from Oakland Raiders. He played 210 consecutive games, earned 10 first-team All-Pro honors. I think Mike Webster from the Steelers, 4-time Super Bowl champion and the physical heart of the 70s Steelers dynasty. I'm going to say I am going to put Jason Kelce on my list.
He didn't even make my honorable mention.
Well, I'm going to put Jim Ringo.
Yep.
From the Packers, 10-time Pro Bowler and vital piece of Vince Lombardi's early Packers powerhouse.
Mm-hmm. But he did go from there to the Eagles, if I remember right.
And then I am going to put...
There's 2 here that you haven't named that are in my top 10. You named 3 of them so far. Or in my top 5.
Mel Hein?
No, he's not even in my top 10.
Kevin Mawae? I don't know.
Kevin Mawae is my honorable mention at 6.
Okay.
So I do like Kevin Mawai.
Okay.
Let's get Samir's.
So my top 5 all-time centers.
Yep.
I had my list pulled up. Let me. My top 5 all-time centers. I've got Jason Kelsey, Jim Otto,
Mm-hmm.
Mike Webster, Chuck Bednarik from the Eagles, and then I've got Alex Mack. It's probably a name.
Alex Mack is in my honorable mentions. That's a good one.
And with that, my top 3 Atlanta Falcons centers.
Wait. Let's do Jeremy's, and we're gonna do Holiday Vargas. We're gonna do the top, and then we'll do teams afterwards.
All right. Yeah, I'm up. All right. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So my number 5 was Jim Ringo. My number 4 was DeMonte Dawson. My number 3 was Dwight Stevenson of the Dolphins. You know, that guy helped Larry Zonka and Brian Greasy go undefeated for a Super Bowl. What more do you need to say? Jim Otto of the Raiders and Mike Webster. My honorable mentions: at 10, Jeff Saturday; at 9, Tom Nalen of the Broncos; 8, Alex Mack, Browns, Falcons, and Niners; 7 was Frank Gatsky, and those that don't know him, he was the one that opened the holes for Jim Brown. And then Kevin Mawai at 6.
Holiday Vargas, do you have
He wasn't here last week, so I don't think he has the top 5 yet, unless he just researched one.
No, the only center I know is Mr. Saturday. That's it.
See, okay.
And let's look at Eddie Prater, because Eddie's got a list too.
Kevin Glover is my second best Lion all time, so I agree, but he doesn't belong in my top 5.
Okay.
Again, NFL is not my strongest suit,
right?
And to add like alignment like that at center is not a very like popular thing unless you're like a fan of the sport. You're gonna know, but my list has always been people I've been around, I've seen, I grew up, part of my culture, not something like I remember back in the 1920s. Like that would never be my list.
So Cowboys was your team, right?
Yeah.
So Travis Frederick, yeah, I think he's one you'd have seen. Stefanski and Tom Rafferty. Tom Rafferty, I believe, was back with Tony Dorsett and Roger Staubach, if I remember right. But Travis Frederick,
that's someone I would have never seen.
Right, but Travis Frederick.
But yeah, Jeff Saturday was it. Peyton Manning at the line of scrimmage, audibles, like that age of 172 plus games of straight snaps and so forth and so forth, Super Bowl and Pro Bowls. It was a 1-2 party. Like they both needed each other. They counted on each other. Like it was a 1-on-1. I'm not
Who
too
was
sure.
The one between Nate Newton and the other guard back in the day during the Troy Aikman era? That guy is someone you should be one of your favorite centers too. Was that Stefanski?
I'll have to double check, but at that age I was 9-10 years old, so that would have to be something. But I don't know if there was another high-end quarterback that had a very popular center at the same time.
Gotcha.
Who do you remember Mike Vick's? Who was Brett Favre's center?
Frank Winters.
Yep. Yeah, it was Stefanski. Stefanski was
That's
the
an alley-oop for candy. Come on. That's a great segue for our top 5 for our team.
Our top 3. Yeah.
But yeah, who was
and John Gesick was the other one.
Who were this Falcons center when they went Super Bowl and they slipped at their Super Bowl against the Patriots?
With Matt Ryan.
It was Alex Mack.
Alex Mack.
Yeah. We had signed him from the Browns that past off season.
Yep, because that was his first year not with the Browns. And then he went to the Falcons and he stayed there until 2020. And in 2021, I believe he played for the Niners.
Mm-hmm.
And then he retired.
Something you brought up, it's who was leading the gaps for Emmitt Smith? Who's leading the gaps for Jamal Anderson?
Stefanski and Gesick were for Emmitt Smith. And then at the end, it was Travis Frederick, who ended up being the center with Tony Romo and the beginning of Dak's career.
Okay, Samir, I know you were anxious to get yours in. Let's talk your top 3 for the Braves. I mean, not the Falcons.
Yep. So my top 3 for the Falcons, I think as we just talked about, Alex Mack, he is one of the top free agent signings in franchise history. Signed him from the Browns in 2016, was a center for the 7th highest scoring offense in NFL history, featured Julio Jones, Matt Ryan, MVP, had the two-headed monster
Roddy
in the
White.
backfield for Devontae Freeman, and Roddy White wasn't on that team.
Oh, he
That
wasn't
was
on
it.
that team. Okay.
Yeah. And Tevin Coleman. They went to the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, they could not close the deal. My second one is Jeff Van Note. Played for a while early on in the 70s, and I think a little bit in the 80s as well. And then Todd McClure. He was the anchor of the offensive line for 12, 13 years. He blocked for Michael
Jamal.
Vick and Matt Ryan.
And Jamal Anderson, right? Wasn't he at that
Yeah,
point?
I think for a little bit. And now, as of recently, he is back in a player development role in the front office. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, Jeremy.
Well, at 3, you have to put Dominic Raiola, who was there from 2001 to 2014. He went through the plethora of quarterbacks until he got to Matt Stafford and was there for 4 years of his career. Kevin Glover, my second best Detroit Lions center all time. He was the cornerstone of the Barry Sanders era, 2-time All-Pro. He also was the center for his MVP season in 97 when he finally retired after that year. And then the gold standard, the guy they said was the next Mike Webster. He just didn't last as long, Frank Ragnow. Because of the same reasons why Mike Webster was great. The elite elasticity, the bend, the leverage, and that motor that did not quit. When he was on the field, he was a 3-time All-Pro.
So I'm going to sneak in a 4th on mine. So my 4th is Frank Winters. Obviously, Frankie Bag o' Donuts. He was the popular middleman for Brett Favre's Super Bowl championship team. He played from 92 to 2002. My 3rd one would be Ken Bowman. He played from 64 to 73. He's famously known for snapping the ball on the game-winning sneak in the Ice Bowl. He anchored the middle of the line through the late Lombardi and transition years. Number 2, Charlie Brock. Now, he played really early, back in 39 to 47. He was a star of the Curly Lambeau era. Charlie Brock played both center and linebacker, earning a spot on the NFL's 1940s all-decade team and winning 6 NFL titles. And the one that I have to put first, obviously, is Jim Ringo. And if you guys don't know, he played from 53 to 63. He's the gold standard for Green Bay centers. Jim Ringo is the franchise's lone center enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He earned 10 Pro Bowl nods and anchored early Vince Lombardi title teams despite being lighter than most linemen.
I had to put Kevin Mawae in there because of how long he played for the Jets and the fact that he's the reason why Matt Sanchez couldn't win the AFC Championship game with the butt fumble.
I gotcha. Okay, guys.
Fernando smiled at that one.
Any other topics you guys want besides My Town? I know we have My Town yet. Any other topics you guys want to bring up tonight?
Yeah, how about this transfer portal thing? You've got a guy who played for the Seahawks in the preseason. Now he wants to go back to college. And then forgot the tackle from the Saints. Think he's an undrafted free agent.
If he hired an NFL agent, he won't be allowed to go back.
Oh, he won't be allowed to go back.
That's actually in the NCAA rules. If you hire an
NFL
agent, you can't go back.
Yeah, I
will one up you. Somebody had mentioned that A-Rod should get one more at bat so he can reset his Hall of Fame clock again. I think that was a really interesting conversation. He could be another Sancho Page coming at 45 years old for one pitch is to reset his Hall of Fame. So I thought that was really interesting to hear across the wire, as Jeremy's used to hear back in the 40s.
Well, just like Phillip Rivers reset his clock. Now he has to wait 5 years to be a first ballot Hall of Famer again.
I know years ago people were saying Barry Bonds should do that. Like sign a one-day deal, taking that bat, and then reset his Hall of Fame clock.
Yeah, it is what it is. Then Lou Whitaker should do the same thing.
Dale Murphy should too. He should be in the Hall of Fame.
Okay. Any other topics anybody wants to bring up?
Exactly, Eddie Prather. I love it. No player that has been in an NFL preseason roster should be ever allowed back in college football. 100%.
Yeah, that's common sense. I mean, you think that'd be common sense.
In order to get a contract, you have to have an agent. Just saying.
What?
We saw Lamar try to do it with his mom, and yeah, it kind of worked. But guess what he did that same season? He hired an agent.
Mm-hmm. Okay, guys. With that, I don't see a lot of different topics. Let's go to my town.
Well, Detroit Tigers fell 5.5 back, so they're basically out of the playoff race, I think, at this point. It was a nice run. It was, 5.5 out from the wild card.
There's 32 games left. Like, come on.
The way they're playing, that bullpen has given up 31 busted saves.
5.5. You're griping at 5.5. The Mets are like 11, and we're thinking we're gonna get that tie. You know what I'm saying?
You guys aren't getting it any more than the Tigers. How's that?
Say again?
You guys aren't getting it any more than the Tigers.
Wait a minute. The Tigers are only 1.5 games behind the out of the wild card.
If you could make an arrangement as to make the Mets play the Braves every day from here on out, they might have
5 spots. 61 and 66, a 480. They don't even have a winning record. I give up.
It's like, you know, like I'm happy to be back in sports, but like fandom, like 5.5, and we're griping like we're not gonna make it. Like, come on, like it's 32 games left. Anything could happen. Anything could happen.
That's because we didn't play the Brewers that night. The Brewers that night were brutal.
Colorado went crazy when on away. You know, like Arizona, like you could catch
winning
fire.
7 out of 10.
You could catch fire. All you gotta do is just win the series.
Yeah, but we haven't. We got swept by the White Sox, and now we just lost 2 out of 3 to Pittsburgh.
Listen. This is not Cinderella. You're not gonna close out at midnight and not make it. There's still 30 plus games left to go.
We traded away our 2 best pitchers.
There's 30 games.
The way this team's playing in the bullpen, I have no faith.
If they do make it, are you going to jump the wagon and say, and rah, rah, rah? Or are you going to like,
he's always going to rah, rah, rah.
I'm always going to rah, rah, rah. They're my team.
But you don't sound like you're rah, rah, rah.
No, I'm not right now.
He has realistic expectations. Because look what they did last year. And that's with the 2 pitchers that they traded away.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like a gripe instead of expectation. You know what I'm trying to say? It's like it's like
okay.
You want
Can I
more.
finish my hometown part? Because I got more to talk about.
Complain about?
No. Yesterday, Sam Laporta had to miss practice. There's no timeline on the return. He was hit hard, and it's a hip bruise, not a major injury. They are expectant that he can come back soon. They're just playing with kid gloves after the back surgery he had last year. They don't want it to get worse. But Tyler Conklin has returned. He is our second tight end with Brock Wright, who has been the tight end 2 or 3 on this roster now for like 3 years. So I don't think we're lacking talent at the tight end position. It isn't as bad as some fans are making it out. Gibbs is returning. It looks like Rolder may hit the IR to start the season. If not, at least the physically unable to play list. I hope it's the latter because that means that they could add him back to the active roster for practicing in week 2 and be back by week 4 under the new NFL rules. I'd rather him hit the PUP than the IR because the IR is automatically 4 to 8 weeks or season.
Guaranteed?
Yeah, it's 4 weeks minimum on IR that you have to miss in the season if you're on the IR. Then it's 8 weeks, and then it's a season.
There's no like you just like there's like no 10 DL, 15 like you can't come back early.
That's
like,
what the PUP list is for. That's
okay.
That physically unable to play is different than the actual injured reserve. Injured reserve has very strict rules on what they can be.
Ouch.
But Terrion Arnold got signed by the Seahawks. And then the commissioner put out the NFL exemption, not allowing him to play a single game this season. So the Lions actually did right getting rid of him because the commissioner said, yeah, you're not playing. Even though the judge allowed him to. So the Seahawks went to turn around and sign Trayvon Diggs.
Yeah.
And there's the rest of my town.
Samir, what's happening in your town?
Yep. So the Braves snapped a 3-game win streak. They were swept in Minnesota, probably the most frustrating series of the year, given the state of the Twins. Grant Holmes took a no-hitter into the 7th. Didier Fuentes got out of a jam, and Raisel Iglesias closed it out. Austin Riley drove in both runs for the Braves today as they shut out the White Sox in a makeup game from earlier this year, 2-0. They traveled to Milwaukee for a 3-game set with the Brewers. They need to get it. They need to start playing better, especially offensively, if they want a chance at this series. And they have the Dodgers in town right after, and the Phillies are only 5.5 back. So this division is far from over. I think with all the complaints I've had about the starting pitching, and even with the frustrating deadline, if you want to call it that, the starting pitching has been relatively good, with the exception of a bad outing from Bryce Elder against the Mets, and then you had a 4-run first from Martin Perez. The offense just hasn't shown up. As I mentioned, Austin Riley's been better, but Ozzie Albies has been kind of up and down since the All-Star break. Dom Smith as your DH, just not a lot there. Jim Jarvis as shortstop. We're just not getting the production we need from all different assets of the lineup. And at this rate, it might be another short October in Atlanta if they don't turn it around, especially offensively. You know, they're chasing a lot of pitches. That's one thing I've noticed when watching the games. The plate discipline really isn't there. They're getting runners in scoring position and taking some bad at-bats. They're not working pitchers, working counts. So that's what's going on with the Braves. Hopefully they can get it together. They've got 2 tough series coming up.
Thank God the Diamondbacks played who they played the other night, because they left 15 men on base and 1-by-1 run in the 10th inning.
Yeah, well, they took 2 or 3 in Atlanta because we couldn't hit.
Yeah, oh, that was you guys they did that to, wasn't it? When they came back and won it in the 10th inning?
No, I don't think so. It didn't go to the 10th with us.
No, it was the Dodgers. It was the Dodgers. I forgot. Yeah, but that's kind of crazy. They were down 4-0 and eked it back, leaving 15 men on base and then scoring in the 10th to win on Walker's big home run.
Okay. That's cool. So Falcons news. So last Friday, to no surprise, James Pierce got popped for 8 games, so he'll miss half the season with that incident in Super Bowl weekend in Miami. Now, Michael Penix Jr. might be the first ever quarterback to win a competition while being not physically cleared to do all activities. If you've seen the tape that Tua's put out, And it's unfortunate
Garbage.
because Stewart seems such a likable guy. You know, he's been kind of cool getting to listen to since he signed here. But this was basically his chance to take the starting job, have the upper hand, and run away with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes out and, you know, he was doing good in practice from what the reports were. Then he goes out Friday against the Broncos and doesn't have a very good outing. He's missing open reads, not
Two
hitting
big
the
picks.
receivers. He fumbled a snap, and then he goes to a joint practice. Well, has a bad practice the day after, reportedly, then goes to a joint practice with the Colts in Indianapolis. He fumbles a snap and then throws a pick six.
Yep. When I watched what I watched and looked at the stat lines, I actually liked what I saw out of Jack Strand better than all three of the quarterbacks that played in that Falcons game.
Yeah,
and it wasn't great. He just was better than the other two.
Yeah, that's not saying a lot. Cooper Rush, that brutal pick six, because the thing is, he had a tight end open on the flats. If he hits him on the flats, it's a touchdown. But then he forced the throw to, I think it was Zachariah Branch, and it was a pick six.
Got picked off by the safety, right?
It was Jahdae Barron. He was their first round pick in Denver last year. So, yeah, we've got some injuries on defense as well. Jesse Bates dealing with the back injury. Divine Diablo with an ankle. I know Avion Terrell got banged up a little bit in practice. So those guys are, you know, kind of working their way back. Jawan Taylor at tackle is back. And then Michael Penix said that he's going to make a call with his doctor. He's hoping to get cleared. So if I had to guess, within the next week, he will be completely cleared for 11-on-11s. And I expect him to, even with the little amount of time he's had, given what we've just seen from Tua, to run away with this starting job.
I think Jack Strand right now is your number 2, unfortunately, and you might have to go to another veteran in free agency to get an emergency quarterback. Do you disagree with that assessment?
I mean, Cooper Rush hasn't been very good. I don't think you can have him on the roster. So it would be one of Mike or Tua as the one, preferably Mike.
Just please, God, don't do the fail can't thing and get Diego Pavia. I'll throw up in my mouth.
No. I'm sorry. Yeah, I wish they had gotten Haynes King. No,
Haynes King is injured. You didn't hear about that? Haynes King got injured over the weekend.
Yeah, he got injured, I think, on that last play. But yeah, I think Cooper Rush won't be on the roster, so it'll be one of the guys back up and then Strand as your third. I think if he goes in the practice squad, he'll get poached.
Oh, 100%. I know that there was at least 5 teams interested in him.
Mm-hmm. So that's all I've got with my town. I guess Alberto will end with you.
Fernando, what's happening in your town?
Oh, Fernando, my fault.
No, you're good. You're good. I want to do like a combination of my state. Tampa is leading. Looking forward to that. My wife found out that there is that I'm 20 out of 30 baseball stadiums visited. So she's going to a concert in Tampa, and there's a good chance that as of right now, Tampa will have home field advantage. I might go to a playoff game in Tampa, so that's going to be a really good list to do. The Marlins are 4 games outside of the playoff wild card. So if both Florida teams can make it, I think it'll be a great boost for the Marlins going into next year, which is really awesome. Other than that, Coco's killing it on the on a tennis here in Delray, right down the street, and the Kodai's killing it. His new entry song is "Beat It" by Michael Jackson. So it's a fun ride with the Mets, and we're gonna count this winning streak 10 games behind. We're gonna do 1 win, 2 wins, and guess what? That's called the winning streak. So let's just get it going as much as possible. But we'll love to be 1.5 game outside the wild card. We'll love to get that if we get that close. Other than that, go Tampa, go Marlins.
Well, thank you, Braves, for beating the Sox today.
You're welcome.
And the Mets have them soon. So if you want the Mets to take care of the Sox for you, I'll light a candle on your
Go ahead.
Help you out.
Go ahead.
You want
beat them up. Beat them up.
I I don't know about that samurai they got there. That outfielder from he is. Killing
Murakami. Yeah,
he is awesome.
If he wouldn't have missed a month and a half from that injury, he'd probably be leading the AL rookie charge right now.
100%, 100%. And I think he is a great face for Chicago, and I think he is a great person to lead.
Yes, Yenzer.
He is awesome. He is an awesome face to have in MLB right now.
And because of that month and a half, McGonigal doesn't have the power numbers, but he has everything else statistically that Murakami doesn't have. A batting average, OPS, stolen bases, RBIs, and runs scored. The guy has had 78 hits and 74 runs scored this year. That don't sound like a lot, but that means when he gets on base, he gets home. That's huge for a team.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Is that all?
Take us home, Miss Candy. Take us home.
Okay, so my accomplishment was this past weekend. I hit the last spring training baseball site that I had not been to. I've been to all of the ones in Arizona, and now I can say I completed the full circle of all the ones in Florida.
In the Grapefruit League.
In the Grapefruit and the Cactus League. So I've been to all of them. So that was kind of cool. I did not see a really great game, I will admit. It was it's low class A down here.
Which one was it?
It was Tampa Tarpons, which is the Yankees farm team, against the Toronto Blue Jays, the Dunedin Blue Jays.
Dunedin Blue Jays, yeah.
Dunedin Blue Jays, yes. And the score was 14-7 at the end. So that gives you an idea how good that game was.
How many errors?
It was only like 2 or 3 errors. It really wasn't that many
errors. Okay, so it wasn't really bad defense. It was just really bad pitching.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But how was the energy? How was the energy at that level in the stadium?
Very few were in attendance. Very few.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
You know what's funny is people talk about the Florida scene for baseball, and I think a lot of people ignore exactly how many semi-pro teams are around the Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Indiana, Illinois, and Ohio area, because we have a plethora of teams around here.
And Scott would tell you that when he got in the business, and I know that was a long time ago, Florida wasn't low class A at that time. It was high class A, and it was a better product on the field. This is one step up from rookie ball.
Right.
For those of you that don't know the
and rookie ball is one step up from Mexican winter ball.
Yeah, exactly. As far as what's happening in my town, Samir, I'm really looking forward to tomorrow night's matchup, because it's Mizorowski going against Sale.
And it's at 4 p.m., which makes absolutely no sense.
No sense.
Yeah. It should be a primetime game.
I
absolutely
agree.
That should be a 6:40, 7:40 game, whatever. It should be the 7 or 8 o'clock hour for that game. That should be on MLB Network.
And even Saturday is a day game. It's 2:10, which
absolutely
that should be Saturday night's game. Now Sunday night is the 7:10 game of the week on ESPN for the Brewers Braves. Brewers, if you didn't hear, they had one of the largest shutouts they've had in Major League Baseball history. It was 22-0 against the Mariners.
I couldn't believe the error that was made by the outfielder, because the runners were already on base. He thought it was the third out, and it was the second out, and he grabbed the ball and threw it into the stands, which meant all 3 runners on bases loaded got to run home.
Yeah,
it was 15-0 at that point, if I remember right. And so that was your next 3 runs. The guy that got out got a sacrifice fly with 3 ribbies.
Yeah, so they right now currently have the best record in baseball. My thing is, I hope that translates to this year, them having success in the playoffs. I mean, we've seen it where it doesn't always, so I hope it does. Let's see. As far as my Packers, they play the Broncos tomorrow night preseason. It's on NFL Network. I can tell you that they have, and this is kind of interesting. There is a chance that Keyshawn Nixon, who finished 2025 as the Packers' top cornerback, but right now he's been bouncing between the starters and the backups. He might not be on the roster. He might get cut.
I heard the same thing today listening to a Packer podcast.
And he's got an attitude at this point that he thinks it's punishment. And so I have a feeling he will be gone, because I think, not that he's not a good player, but if he's thinking it's punishment, if he's vocalizing it, he could become a cancer in a locker room, and that's not something you want or need. So, other than that, I don't think I had anything else. My town. No, I mean, we did, like I said, we were over on the other side of the state this past weekend. We did do some more videos for our Destination Discoveries Media Network. There will be, I will say this, I will go back to, we went to the spring training game. We actually interviewed the PR guy for the Dunedin Blue Jays. He is 22 years old. He does everything. So when you wear that hat, slow class A, you do all the social media for the team. You do the lineups for the team. He does the play-by-play for the team. He travels with the team. He arranges all the interviews for the team. So he definitely wears a lot of hats. I want to thank him. His name is Eli Fishman. He credentialed us for the game, so he got us in, and we were able to. We did some interviews we did some videos around the park, so you could see, because they're celebrating 50 years of Toronto Blue Jays. So definitely check out our YouTube channel for that as well. And then on Sunday, we spent the day in Tarpon Springs. And if you don't know, that is the sponge capital of the world. And we did a boat tour out on the Gulf, and we actually did see dolphins.
Hey, now.
Awesome.
That was awesome.
So
I didn't get good pictures of them, but we did see dolphins. They didn't go up in the air, but you could see the fins, and you could see them in the water. So that was cool.
So Patty Grimes mentioned the 3 teams in Michigan alone in the single high A affiliates. Lansing Lugnets, they are the affiliate of the Oakland Athletics. West Michigan Whitecaps is the Detroit Tigers, and the Great Lake Loons are the LA Dodgers.
There you go. With that being said, I am going to do my spiel.
Sorry.
Up.
For next week, can we add our ballpark food just to spice it up a little bit? Like, what does the Braves have, the Hawks have? Can we introduce some other segments of sports and kind of see what we can do?
For sure.
Take us. I would love to see what the Lions have as far as the ambiance. So please introduce me and other people to the ambiance of the Tiger Stadium and Ford Field, please.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the beer, the menu, the ambiance. Is there any sayings, any songs? I would love to know more about the culture of what it's like to be a Lions and the Tigers fan. So
I don't know the Tigers fight song, but I do know the Lions fight song by heart.
Well, I mean, neither team is a fight song. The Falcons do have a touchdown song where it's like
that's actually your fight song, believe it or not. The touchdown
it's
song.
It's kind of like the Hey song where it's like hey, then you spell it out, and of course the Braves. We've got the chop.
You have like a move the chains chant?
No.
So Fernando, I would say in the NFL there isn't as much of that. I would say in college you're going to have more fight songs and more of the spirited that
So,
kind of things.
if you're wanting to see the lyrics, because it was written when the Lions came to Detroit in 1934, it was published in 1937. The song is called Gridiron Heroes.
So yeah,
Till next week.
we could do about that next week. And then what position are we doing next week?
We did
Are we going to go back to
offense,
defense?
so
We should do another offense because we've been doing like 2 weeks in a row on each side of the ball. You know what I mean?
tackles.
Left or right, because there's a very big distinction in that. If you just do tackles in general, there's way too many of each. Whereas if you did all left tackles or all right tackles, same with the guards.
Why don't we,
Because
Jeremy? Why don't we do tackles, but then instead of doing 5 and 3, do 10 and 5, like we did when we did like wide receivers, because we said there was a lot of those too.
right. I kind of agree with that. It would have to be a top 10, and it would have to be, your best 5 left tackles and your best 5 right tackles. I think that would be the proper way to do it, and then you can put them in at who you think is the best or worst.
Right, because I'm kind of thinking the series was going to lead us up into the regular season, so that's why I don't want to string it up too long, because it's coming.
That's why we're going to do defense. Edge room is probably going to be the same thing, whereas defensive tackles, because some teams run a 3-4, there's less of those than there is edge.
Yep. Okay, so we said we are doing, because I'm going to put it
Top
in our
10 tackles.
Top 10 tackles.
And then top 5 for our team.
And the barbecue at Brave Stadium. Awesome.
Well, I was going to get into that, but we have a famous, I'll talk about it next week.
The marching band coming in, top notch. Like it's
not it's a drum line. It's not a marching band.
No, I'm saying, but like it's Atlanta Stadium is local as much as it could be, and all from the music to the food. I can't wait to what you get next week, man. It's an awesome experience.
Mm-hmm.
So Fernando, which teams are you gonna do, since you kind of associate with New York and here? And the reason why I asked, I'll do Wisconsin because I associate more with there, but I was just double checking because
I will go more with the Mets.
Okay.
Only because of lately they have been winning awards. They have been winning menus of they have the best stadium. So I will go with them because I think they have more selection compared to what the Marlins have in the Rays. So I will, for next week, I will go with my Mets chef and go from there.
Okay. Sounds good. Samir, how can people find you?
Subscribe, comment to my YouTube channel at Samir Media 3PC. You can find a lot of my articles, a lot of my content on the 3-Point Conversion website. And you can also find me on Instagram at Samir.atlmedia01, and you can find me every Thursday nights on Fire Up. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Fernando, how can people find you?
I'm at Holiday Vargas across the different platforms, but majority of the time, I'm here Thursday. Fired up, stirring a pot, enjoying it, having a good time, and then experiencing sports through my co-hosts.
Smoking Jeremy B.
That's right, it's Smoking Jeremy B. I am a fixture here on South Florida Tribune YouTube channel on Tuesdays and Thursday nights. Tuesdays with Inside the Pigskin, Thursdays with Fire Up, with these fine gentlemen and the young lady to my left, Miss Candy. You can also find me on my channel, which is the KCB Sports Network, where I am live every day at one point or another, sometimes twice a day. Then you can find my writings on the South Florida Tribune website. Go to the contributors' writings underneath the Motor City Tribune heading, where you will see my writings about the Detroit sports scene, but mostly Lions.
Nice. Okay, South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. Jeremy's got it. Covers on the screen. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. The audiobook is also out there. There's a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there's a plethora of great content. Jeremy writes for us. Samir writes for us. Go check out our content. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcast. If you see that red subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, that means you have not yet subscribed to us. I don't know what you're waiting for. Just click it like a share us. And then turn on your notifications so you're notified every time we go live. We created another YouTube channel, Destination Discoveries Media Network. And QR code right now is South Florida Tribune. I just switched it to Destination Discoveries Media Network, where we talk all things travel. We have a Monday night show that we do. It's called No Limits, and it's Rob and myself, and we talk all different things about traveling. This past weekend when we went over to Tarpon Springs, besides it being the sponge capital of the world, it's also very heavily Greek infused. It has a lot of Greek restaurants, a lot of artwork. Some of it came over from Greece. Go check out the YouTube channel. We're going to be putting up all kinds of videos on there. There's going to be one where Scott talks to a local young male who lived in Greece and now lives in Tarpon Springs. Very interesting. Obviously, we're going to put the video up where he talks with the play-by-play announcer for the minor league team as well. But all kinds of other. We just put one up about artwork that is in the middle of roundabout, which was kind of cool and very different. Definitely go check out the website. Check out the new YouTube channel. With that being said, Mr. Jeremy, you take us home every week.
Try every day to be a better person than you were the day before. That's the only way to make the world a better place. It starts within us. Much love to everybody in the chat. Eddie Prather, Patty Grimes, the Mad Yinzer. Love you guys. Great to have you on here in the chat.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week.
Goodbye.